WBA Rule C-17. In exceptional circumstances, the championship committee and the president may designate a champion as a super champion and may establish the criteria for a super championship. So basically, we could do what the fuck we want. Okay, this is stupid, but this is boxing. What a stupid ass sport we all love. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, WBA Welterweight Championship, May 2nd, Times Square, 2025. So this Fatal Fury, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, this is going to be for the WBA Welterweight Championship, which already has and just crowned a WBA Welterweight Champion in Jaron Ennis, who just beat Montes Stanionis at the unification bout to unify the IBF and the WBA a couple weeks ago. So where we're at now is Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia are going to fight for the title. This is something that the WBA has been wanting to make, and this makes absolutely no sense. But we'll get into why this is happening. Here's the stupid ass press release. Okay. WBA, through its championship committee, has greenlit a high stakes welterweight title fight between Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, scheduled to take place May 2nd in New York City somehow. Times Square. Still not clear how they're going to pull that off, but shout out to them. Let's see how this goes. As a matter of fact, we don't need the lower third here. Let's just keep going. In a resolution issued Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, the WBA committee also named Jaron Ennis as the organization's super champion. So we thought that the WBA was going to kill the regular champion and the super champion thing. If you're a casual, one, welcome. Two, this is how it works. You have the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF. They all have world champions. The WBA, for the longest time, had a super champion and a normal champion. After just having a normal champion, they decided to have two, whereas everybody else had one, except for the fact that everyone also has interim champions. And occasionally with WBC, they have a diamond champion. And also there's the IBO, but we don't care about the IBO. So here's how this goes. You have two champions again, because we thought that we were done with this. But now the WBA is bringing in a regular championship belt and elevating Jaron Ennis to super champion, right? So here's how this goes. Jaron Ennis is going to face this dude right here, Shakram Giyasov. Shakram Giyasov fought on the Jaron Ennis card last time out. He won by knockout. He's going to be the mandated fight for Jaron Ennis next. Jaron Ennis is going to beat Giyasov or lose to Giyasov, and whoever wins that championship is going to face the winner, presumably, of this fight right here. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero for the WBA Welterweight Championship, so that the WBA can then have one champion instead of having an interim title and a normal title and eventually have unification and just have one champion. You're going to have two champions. So one of these two dudes who's never fought at welterweight, although Ryan Garcia, I guess, technically has because he was on steroids the last time we saw him, is going to fight for a welterweight championship. That's where we're at. That's boxing. Just as I said, furthermore, the winner, Jaron Ennis and Giyasov, will be required to face the winner of Garcia versus Romero. And according to WBA Rule C-17, in exceptional circumstances, the championship committee and the president may designate a champion as a super champion and may establish the criteria for a super championship. So basically, we could do what the fuck we want. The committee and president may determine conditions and requirements of defenses and retention of such title, acting within its regulatory. First of all, it's like they're throwing all this in there because they know people are going to be like, huh, this makes no sense. Enough people who care about this stuff, and apparently not that many do. The WBA has elevated Ennis to super champion status, while Garcia and Romero will battle for the vacant WBA World Welterweight Championship, adding even more heat to an already explosive 147-pound division. This is the weakest a welterweight has been in my lifetime, but go off, WBA. Go off. There's not a Felix Trinidad or a Oscar De La Hoya or a Shane Mosley or even a Timothy Bradley or a Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather Jr., Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, so on and so forth. Jaron Ennis is the only dude that has a shot to be one of those guys. Ryan Garcia, we'll see what he looks like once he gets all situated and cleaned up. Okay, let's continue because there's more to actually go through here. Let's look at the rankings. Let's do that. Okay, the rankings, welterweight. Thank you to Boxing Scene because they always have these on hand. You see here, Jaron Ennis. This has been updated. Jaron Ennis, IBF. Jaron Ennis, WBA. Who's number one contender? Shakram Giyasov, like we just said. Who is two? Rolly Romero. Who's number three? Ryan Garcia. Jin Sasaki 4. Conor Benn 5. Conor Benn, by the way, fighting at middleweight this weekend against Chris Eubank Jr. So now Let's share the screen here because we may or may not come back to the rankings. We may or may not need the rankings, but what we do need is to look at BoxRec right now. Ryan Garcia is listed as a welterweight here already. So he was 143. He was supposed to be 140. This was for the super lightweight weight class. He came in overweight. This was supposed to be a 140 against Oscar Duarte. This ended up being 143 as well, a catch weight. Gervonta Davis, this was a catch weight, memorably at 136. Ryan Garcia claimed he was drained, and that might have been the case. But also, he didn't earn himself a lot of sympathy for what happened afterwards. 140, you go on down the line, you're in 135. Remember, Ryan Garcia was a top lightweight contender for a while. Also at super featherweight as well, beating guys like Jason Velez, for example. These are all at 130 and that 130, 135 range. There's not a single fight here that was supposed to be at welterweight. These two just so happened to be there because of the circumstances. And Ryan Garcia, the last time we saw him, he beat Devin Haney, but also, you see, this was a no contest because he tested positive for some things that were in his system. And he has not fought, like traditionally, and hasn't fought at welterweight yet. Yet he is highly ranked by the WBA. He has the win over Oscar Duarte, which I don't think a ton of people were impressed by, but he did get the stoppage round 7 through 12, as I bet on. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is a sport. Now, hi, Rolly. He got starched by Isaac Cruz. That was at super lightweight. He was a WBA champion. Remember, BoxRec doesn't recognize the WBA because of shit like this, along with other things. Ismael Barroso, this was at 140. This was also over WBA, and this was one of the worst stoppages in a long time because Barroso was actually winning the fight. As you can see here by the judges' scorecards, all of them in favor of Barroso, and it wasn't like that wasn't a good stoppage. You have to go back and look at how Tony Weeks stepped in and prematurely stopped that fight with Rolly Romero having a slight edge at the time he stopped it. Gervonta Davis, we know what happened there. Rolly actually looked decent before he got put on his face, put down on his ass. I guess he landed on both. Anthony Yiggett, probably his most recent impressive win. Rolly Romero's. This was 4 years ago, almost. Yeah, July 17th, 2021. And then you just go on down the line. I don't see 147 here at all. I see a lot of 135. I see a 132 at his debut. Where's the welterweight experience that justifies him being number 2? Yes, he had the WBA super lightweight championship, but he also lost it by knockout against Isaac Cruz, who then lost his title to Rayo Valenzuela, who then lost his title to Gary Antoine Russell. Like, none of this makes any sense. None of this. We could stop screen sharing now and we can get into the commentary portion of this. This is going to be brief. I swear. Now, the question I have is, and this is what I want to know. Do you think Jaron Boots Ennis should stay at 147 or move up to 154? I think there are some of you who would say, hey, he should move up to 154. Maybe chase a Virgil Ortiz, maybe chase a Sebastian Fundora, a Xander Zayas. However, I would like to see if he could unify this division. The fight at welterweight for me is still Boots Ennis versus Brian Norman Jr., but now we have roadblocks. Mario Barrios, all due respect, WBC champion. There's a reason why there are rumors about Manny Pacquiao coming back and fighting him. Dudes think he's food, and he didn't even win his last title defense. So Jaron Boots Ennis, if he were to unify with him, I think that would be easy. If Boots Ennis stays at welterweight, this is why I think he should. I know people expect him to move up to 154, and I think even now some people might be like, hey, why doesn't he move up to 154 if the WBA is having him jump through all these hoops? But what I would tell you is this. Fight Giasov, do it in Philly, do it in your hometown, because I'm sure Matchroom will willingly put that in your hometown. Like, they would absolutely do that. Giasov is not necessarily a draw in the States. And then after that, we're going to assume Ryan Garcia beats Rolly Romero. We're going to assume that, because he's better. If Boots Ennis beats Giasov and gets a fight with Ryan Garcia, financially, he's out of here. He's absolutely out of here. That is a massive fight. That's the biggest money fight Boots Ennis could have in the foreseeable future. And the likelihood of that happening would be late 2025, the earliest. probably more likely early 2026 is my guess. Like, let's say he fights Giasov this summer or something along those lines. Actually, the mandate was within 120 days. So yeah, this summer sounds about right, because 120 days is approximately 4 months. By then you're talking about, that later portion of August. So maybe the fight happens in early August, late July, something along those lines. And they both just fought in April. So yeah, early August or something like that. And then maybe you come back and fight Ryan Garcia. November might be a little soon. Maybe it's December, maybe it's January, February, but regardless, yeah, I'd wait that out and get the Ryan Garcia fight, especially because, by the way, Jaron Boots Ennis should be the favorite in that. He probably wins that fight. And then you're like, by that point, Devin Haney, by the way, Devin Haney also, who hasn't fought at welterweight, although he rehydrates to like 200 pounds when he does fight. Devin Haney is going to fight, and he's highly ranked by the WBC. We didn't get to it. He's going to fight Jose Ramirez, and he may be set up to fight Mario Barras for the WBC title. So if Boots Ennis down the line could get Ryan Garcia and then Devin Haney, I would stay at welterweight if I were him. That's all we have for this video. We will be covering more on the card very, very soon. Check back in. We'll do that. And now you're in a way in Canelo Alvarez fight in the days after. So you'll be hearing from me again. Thank you for watching. We'll talk soon.